See, you're either one of the good people or you're one of the bad people. You either agree wholeheartedly with everything the main characters agree with, or you are a crazy xenocidal maniac trying to blow up a planet. There is no in between. At least, that's what this episode presents. Hello, my wonderful viewers, and welcome to another episode of Betty Adams Overanalyzes. This is part 2 of our review of Transformers Earthspark Stowed Away Stow Aways, episode somewhere between 21 and 24, depending on how much money you're forking over to Paramount+. If you're not one of the good guys, agreeing with the good guys enthusiastically in every way, you are apparently an evil, xenocidal psychopath. To sum up this episode in a nutshell, problems. This episode has serious problems, much like the episode Pair Home had. The problems range from simple characterization, where characters' attitudes and motivations swing wildly from scene to scene, to pushing the show's already prominent homage tendency right off the board into rip-off territory, and some deeply disturbing moral issues with how good and evil are presented. On the other hand, there was one genuinely funny joke that actually got a laugh out of me with how self-aware and genre-aware it was. Spoilers are coming up now, so if you don't want any spoilers, you can click away. While you are there, you can get yourself a copy of my book, Humans Are Weird. We took a vote to the second book in the series of short, absurd science fiction. Now, you might very well say that I'm being far too harsh, far too judgmental on what is ultimately a kids' show, on what is ultimately a half-hour advertisement for a toy line. A bit of cheesiness is expected, a bit of moral simplicity is expected. Give it a break. Maybe you'd have a point. If Transformers Earthspark didn't have pretensions of competence that amount to delusions of grandeur. This is a show that wants to run with the big dogs, to be up there with Transformers Animated in exploring gray morality, complex situations, and the motivations that would drive the Decepticons to this eons-long war. And the episode Warzone did it very, very well. The episode Warzone was probably one of the best animated episodes I have ever seen in any franchise. But few of the episodes that came after that have even performed up to the bar of average. So, how do I know that this show truly has pretensions of depth and meaning? Well, for starters, this very episode leaned into its core homage so hard that it tipped right the frag over into ripping off another show. Bumblebee, here come the spoilers, walks into the mysterious hidden room beneath the ghost base, and the framing makes him seem tiny in comparisons to what he finds. An interesting choice, making him look that small. And what did he find, you ask? He finds, quite simply, the gate room of Stargate Command. I freaking kid you not. Scaled up a bit for Cybertronian size, but it's all there. The ramp leading up to the gate, the launch platform, the stone shaft going up and up and up, the dark cave vibe, and of course, the Stargate itself. My mistake. The G1 Cybertronian space bridge. The one that had completely different proportions when shown in the flashback scenes in Warzone. It has now been set in the wall, on its side. Instead of powering on all at once, it now has individual chevrons that light up one at a time in a circle around the ring. This is by far not the first Transformers show to homage Stargate. There was an entire episode in Transformers Prime that incorporated elements of that episode where Carter and O'Neill were trapped in Antarctica. But that was a homage done with class, a homage that I didn't notice until someone pointed it out to me. This show just straight up ripped off the set design for Stargate Command and tried to have a Stargate-themed Transformers episode in it. Okay, if some of y'all are too young to know what Stargate was, go watch Stargate 1. The original movie is good, and the series SG-1 is awesome. I highly recommend it. The pilot episode has a bit of nudity and other pilot-y show stuff in it. But Stargate SG-1, find it on a streaming service, find it on DVD. Great show. But anyway, you have an over-the-top homage. And the thing about Stargate was that homaging it that clearly just made the core problem with this show show up so much worse. Stargate. Every single iteration of it, from the original movie to, I think it was Stargate Ultimate was the last one that everybody lost interest in, dealt with one issue a lot. It showed up in so many episodes. How do you interact morally with someone who is not only trying to kill you, has not only tried to kill you, but has fundamentally different moral beliefs than you do? In this show, enemies of yesterday become the friends of today. Teal'c, we all loved him, but my boy had participated in many genocides. Same with the Tok'ra. Part of Stargate's charm was that it didn't sweep these issues under the rug. It didn't ignore them. We saw planets where Teal'c was righteously hated. We saw the Atlantis crew struggling with how to deal with the issue of a species that was inherently dangerous with the whole Matt arc. Each and every time this came up, Stargate freely and openly admitted that it was possible for two different people to have two completely different moral codes, to look at the same situation and come away with different opinions on what was the right thing to do. And they didn't just frame this as a two-dimensional problem. There were people who agreed with the main character's goals, but had completely different methods. The whole shtick of Stargate is that things are not black and white, and just because someone has a different opinion, a different perspective on something, doesn't make them evil. Especially when it comes to analyzing threats to your person and planet. And in this episode, homaging one of the best sci-fi shows in existence, the message that Transformers Earthspark is trying to get through is standing in stark contrast to that. And the simplified, childish moral complexity that Transformers Earthspark presents here does not compare well with any of the Stargate episodes. This episode, the moral point of this Transformers Earthspark episode is that if a human on Earth is not wholeheartedly in support of the Transformers' presence on Earth, Autobot and Decepticon alike, then they might as well all be evil xenocidal maniacs. There is no middle ground. You just accept that the interplanetary genocidal Decepticons are here to stay, and you have to be happy about that, or you're a bad person. Now, you can say that, of course, that doesn't apply to the rest of Ghost, that there are obviously people who exist in the show who don't fall into either the fanboy, blindly worshipping the Transformers camp of the Maltos and Agent Shoulder, or the crazy xenocidal camp of his sister. But that is not what we see on the show. And in an artificial medium like a television show, if it doesn't show up on the screen, if it doesn't show up in the proscenium, it doesn't exist. The way this episode is framed, the way that Agent Croft and Agent Schroeder are presented, is all that we see. And all that exists in this episode to make the point that the writers are going for. Agent Schroeder is revealed to be one of the good guys when and only when after he fanboy gushes over Bumblebee the same way that Pop Malto does. When Agent Croft is revealed to be prejudiced against all Cybertronians, regardless of their intentions, she is immediately upgraded to a xenocidal maniac, not just trying to wipe out all Cybertronians off of Earth, but just straight up planning on destroying Cybertron. That is, that what we're seeing presented is here, you are either a mindless fanboy of the Cybertronian presence, which I keep feeling the need to remind the show was 100% a military invasion and attempted genocide of the humans, or you want all Cybertronians everywhere dead. There is no room shown for, I don't know, an agent who is grimly cognizant of the fact that the Decepticons still pose a very real threat of genocide that they never repented of, that the Autobots have no real allegiance to the people of Earth, and that the only thing keeping the Autobots in line and on Earth protecting them is Optimus Prime's moral code. Even a very reasonable human military officer might have a very real desire to get these giant walking war machines off the human home planet without him having to be a xenocidal psycho. Why such a person might even reasonably deeply resent the Cybertronian present on Earth. But we do not see any such person. We have the Maltos and Schroeder in the fanboy camp, or the psychopath who wants to blow up an entire planet. Never mind the question of how human engineers have in just a few years managed to reverse engineered Cybertronian technology that even the Autobots had given up on fixing, as proven by the presence of the the space bridge. In this world, the humans are able to master complex texts better than Cybertronians, making the humans more powerful. I guess giving the Cybertronians the moral high ground because they're now at the mercy of the humans? Now, I might hold off on this judgment, as the end of the episode might have been a reveal about a background mastermind that will explain this little flaw we will see. But even if the show does manage to turn the story around, even if the show adds in a token amount of moral gray area or slightly different perspective, this is still the episode we were given. This is still what we were shown. This is still what the show has led up to. Between this episode, Stowed Away Stow Aways, and the episode Home, and the episode Pair Home, this show has a profound morality problem. It's like, if you are not 100% vibing on a childlike faith level with the main characters, you don't deserve the basic human dignity of respect. The vibe really does feel like that. Now, about that mass murdering psychopath. I finally figured out who Agent Croft reminded me of. Do any of y'all remember Theranos? I did a whole video on this. That medical company that scammed a ton of money out of investors with a fake medical technology. Elizabeth Holmes was the driving force behind that, and she, very obviously, cultivated a Steve Jobs-like presence. She wore a distinct black turtleneck and pants outfit. She wore long blonde hair tied back in a silver bun, parted over her right eye. No doubts about it. Executive Agent Croft is based both visually and by mannerisms, voice, tone, and presentation style on Elizabeth Holmes in her Theranos stage appearances. Now, there's a dubious honor to be made a xenocidal Transformers villain. I don't think the problem with this episode, this us or them, good or evil, agree or murder, would be quite so glaring without the context of the Home episodes. That scene with Robbie's friend made it clear that even if you harbored the slightest resentment over a literal alien invasion, you were one of the bad guys. And again, it would not be nearly such a problem if this show didn't have delusions of complexity and actually successes at complexity in earlier episodes. But what do you think, my wonderful viewers? Am I being too hard on a children's show? Is the message of anyone who doesn't agree with us evil really there, or am I just seeing things? I do have other issues with the show that might be tainting my objectivity. I'd love to hear what you think in the comments section. Hit that like and subscribe button, and peace out, my wonderful viewers. Do you love awesome science fiction books? Of course you do. If you check out the links below the video, you can get yourself a copy of Comedy or Tragedy. Humans Are Weird. I have the data. Humans Are Weird. We took a vote, and Humans Are Weird, Let's Work It Out are the 3 comedy short story books available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Kobo by Rakuten, Google Play. There's even some copies at Powell's Books, the famous used bookstore in Portland, Oregon. Dying Embers, dragons, aliens, and things that go boom in the night, and soon Flying Sparks. More dramatic, traditional science fiction novels are also available at Amazon. Flying Sparks is still in the pre-order page. If you want a copy, you can email me by contacting the website, to pre-order yourself a copy. It's still being edited. So check out the links below the video to get yourself a copy of some wonderful science fiction.